Bamgboshe Happy Hour. I am Peju Bamgboshe Rothlisberger.
Hi, everyone, and I'm Naomi Bamgboshe.
And this is the Bamgboshe Happy Hour film and TV edition. How are you, Bob? What's up?
Oh, wonderful, sweetie. Feeling so great and so blessed on this wonderfully brisk morning. Feeling very good. Lovely morning for a nice hot toddy.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess you're trying to tell us something. It's January. It's definitely feeling like January. We were so lucky in December when we were having like 70-degree temperatures, but we're feeling it now. But listen, it always could be way worse. Next week is going to be warmer. I'm thankful and grateful for every single day.
There you go. That's it, daughter.
Let's start it off, with a toast. And today's kind of like a funny toast. We want to toast to Bob the drag queen. And I think everybody knows watching Traded.
Oh, all right, Bob. Oh, we miss you, Bob. And we love you for all your flamboyancy. We love you. Okay, let's lift our glasses. Continued success, long life, prosperity, health, wealth, and happiness to Bob the drag queen. Salud.
Salud. That's a great mocktail, Ma.
Oh, wonderful.
Well,
mine is not that much of a mocktail. Mine is more of a wonderful, healthy breakfast mimosa.
Okay. I have my mocktail, is a passion fruit paloma.
Well, some people call mine a screwdriver, but I like to refer to it as a hybrid breakfast mimosa, brunch mimosa. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I feel you on that.
And rum.
Right. Okay. All right, Ma. So let's get into a little bit of sports briefly. Pretty much just going to do the NFL today. I'll break it down further next week. So we're going to start off with this is a playoff weekend. And so I'm going to start off with the Texans versus the Chiefs. And the Texans were an underdog. I'm coming in at number 4, though. And the Kansas City Chiefs are the number 1.
You're number 4. You're not that much of an underdog because you're up there in that top 5.
Well, no.
Oh, well, no, what?
No, the way they do the rankings, the playoff seedings for the NFL is a little bit different than for other sports. So,
okay.
Sometimes it's not.
So they're more of an underdog than that 4th seed placement would indicate.
Well, yes, they haven't beat the Chiefs. They don't do well in cold weather. They're 0-5 in cold weather, and I think they have a 1-12 record against the Chiefs. So they were a very
they were really underdogs against this opponent.
Right.
Okay.
When the game started, I think it felt like maybe 7 degrees, and
oh my goodness,
outdoors.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, the Chiefs won. We don't know who the Chiefs are going to play. They're going to play the winner of either the Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills, who are playing today. By the time you guys listen to this podcast, you will probably know the winner of that game. So we shall see.
Okay. Do you have any preference, daughter, or you don't want to say?
I don't really have a strong preference, but I would like to say I kind of like to maybe see the Chiefs get knocked off this time, because they just seem to be invincible. And
I'm telling you, they claim that Travis isn't playing as well. They claim that Patrick is not up to his par. But guess what? They seem to be steamrolling over everybody. Well, sometimes they were just inching through, but other times they were steamrolling through. They seem to keep winning. They have a really good record.
What I will say is that Travis Kelce played really well yesterday. He seemed like the fountain of youth yesterday.
All right.
So, can't really say much. He played extremely well. It's probably one of his best games, or maybe the best game he's played this season.
Okay. Good for Trav.
Okay, and so moving on to the final game last night was with the Commanders versus the Lions. Now, the Detroit Lions were the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they were the heavy favorite to win the Super Bowl, not only get to the Super Bowl, but to win. But they had so many different injuries throughout the season, but somehow or
Oh,
another, they always just managed to win. But it all came to a head last night. Um, Jared Goff threw two interceptions. One was, I think, for a pick six, which is obviously not good. He had three turnovers. It was just not good. And Jaden Daniels, the rookie quarterback, he really put on a show. It was really, I felt really happy for him. I think he's got it to, go the distance. Let's see. But the Commanders, they won 4 games last season, and this season they are, going to the NFC Championship, which is
wonderful. Oh, wonderful. And did he just come in this season, or you saying
the
this is?
rookie.
Oh, wow. So he really has made the difference.
He
It
really,
isn't
yes,
even that he just improved. He came in a
yeah,
monster.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, congratulations, guys. I'm sorry
Congratulations.
for those who didn't make it, and congratulations for those that did make it.
With that being said, I do feel a little bit bad for Detroit because Detroit just can't really, catch a break. They really can't. They've never won a championship before, and they finally have a really, really good team, but it just wasn't in the cards for them yesterday. They just, Jared Goff reverted to his old turnover ways, and then I think injuries kept up.
Oh,
And then they never
yeah.
played Jaden before. They never played him before, so they didn't really know. It's different, when you're seeing something on tape than when you actually see it up
Yeah,
close.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations, guys, and and congratulations to the teams playing today. And there's always a winner, there's always a loser. So good luck to all parties concerned.
Yes, yes, and just kind of finally, rounded it out. The Eagles are playing the Rams today. We'll see, who wins. Whoever wins between the Eagles and the Rams will be playing the Commanders. So that will be an interesting game. And if the Eagles win, then I think the Eagles are, well, whoever wins between these two will be hosting. If it's the Eagles or the Rams, will host the Commanders. Between the Bills and the Ravens, they will have to go to Kansas City, whoever wins between those two.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Well, we know Kansas City, they're going to play on their home turf. We know that.
that is true.
Well,
Okay.
they earned it, supposedly. They had a few suspect calls from the refs throughout the season. I've been watching a little bit, but anyhow, they still end up where they are.
Well,
So,
they won a lot of games. There's
yeah,
luck
they did win a
involved,
lot.
of course.
They won a lot, but you don't know. If one thing changes, then the whole trajectory changes. And so they've had a couple favorable calls from the judges and a couple of controversial calls.
Well,
So,
you know that when a
but I
person,
guess they all have. I guess they all had that.
yes, and then also this is kind of when somebody becomes in the category of the GOAT or
Yes, yes. Think people defer to them. I got it. I got it.
no, I wasn't going to say then people defer to them. What I was going to say is that a lot of times, people get a break. They get, they get more breaks. But I guess that's the same thing as what you're saying. But it's
Yeah, semantics, daughter. Same thing.
just, yeah. Okay, but they've earned it. They've earned people to give them a little bit more.
Got it, and that's why they get it. I got it.
Okay, so let's move on to somebody who isn't getting much respect over the past couple of days. That is Snoop Dogg. He was facing backlash from some fans after performing at the Crypto Ball in DC. This is, Trump's inauguration that's coming up, actually. And the event attracted high profile figures from the crypto industry, and the tickets sold at 2,500 a pop. Now, if you recall, uh, Snoop said several years ago, he referred to,
2017. 20,
yes,
mhm.
calls people, what do you call them? I don't
Um,
Coons, Uncle Tom's. He called them a bunch of names
yeah.
for performing at Donald Trump's inauguration, whatever year it was. Losing track.
Yes. Yes.
And so people felt that, he was being a hypocrite, and people were not happy with him. They expected someone like Rick Ross and Soldier Boy to perform, which of course they did, because they're always, foolish and,
All
just
right.
money
You
hungry.
don't
People
necessarily make the best decisions, right?
Yes, people were not happy with Snoop, and we also know that Nelly performed. My before you get in, what I will say about Nelly, I didn't really know too much about Nelly's politics, but the thing to me that sticks out was Snoop, and you have the right to do whatever you want. It wouldn't be my choice. Snoop to me has enough money and enough sway to where if he really was trying to make a statement or didn't feel that such and such wasn't in line with his personal beliefs, that he could have, forego this whole inauguration. Nelly, I think I have not seen or heard any new music from Nelly in maybe a decade. I don't know, or maybe I don't know about you, Mom. Rick Ross, we know, was always trying to get attention, and Soldier Boy, I really could barely understand what he's saying most of the time. I just thought Snoop would be a little bit different, but he, I guess, has been a sellout for a minute. From at least that's what Tupac said. Go ahead, Ma.
Mhm. That's what Tupac said.
Yes, he said that many, many years ago. It was floating on the internet where Tupac, called Snoop a sellout.
Guess what? Guess what? I'm going to summarize this very succinctly, daughter. Snoop Dogg, aka Step and Fetch It Dog.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to say. Now, if anybody doesn't know the legacy of Step and Fetch It, please look it up. I think most people, Lincoln Perry, aka Step and Fetch It. Snoop, there's a video of Snoop on there using old fashioned, what would be called, I don't know if you want to go as far back to say archaic language that was used by our ancestors, that our ancestors were forced to use in what would be almost a slave type of language, colloquialisms. Oz will performs for you, master, or something to that effect. Guess what? Guess what? He went so far to dig that deep and to make all those comments in public. And now, is it the weed that has made you forget who you are? Or is it that you have become so quote unquote mainstream, AKA a sellout? Is every so called mainstream person just a sellout? Just a person who has started to get money from the mainstream culture? So now that's who you defer to? Are they synonymous? Gone mainstream? Because you went to the Olympics, does that make you have no ethnic pride? Does that make you lose your memory? Does that make you do anything for money? I'm not sure, where this started, but I will say, Tupac, very insightful for you. Very insightful for you. I wish you had been visionary enough to, have been able to live longer and avoided what happened. And my heart breaks for that because in many ways you were a visionary in many ways. And I've heard instances of that in many ways.
Oh, for
Snoop
sure.
is a sellout. There's no question about it. There's no question. It's whether or not we care that he's a sellout. He is clearly a sellout, openly and blatantly. And he is a hypocrite and a liar. Well, guess what? He changed his mind. Okay? He no longer thinks that way. He now thinks that, well, if you get paid enough, it's okay to do that. And he explicitly said, Donald Trump, the only thing he forgot to add is they are a sellout because they sold their talents and their services for under a certain amount of money. He forgot to include the amount of money because, see, there's an amount of money that you can receive where it's acceptable, but he didn't add that. He
Right.
needed to add an addendum to his statement.
Right.
Their Uncle Tom's because they sold out for maybe $10,000 and he sold out for maybe 250, 300. Okay. He forgot to add the dollar amount.
Well, I don't know because
Happened.
when he was in the Olympics, he was getting paid $500,000 a day. He netted 9 million for his Olympic job.
And so I'm making up numbers.
I
My
know.
my point is well taken. You have absolutely emphasized and underscored my point. He just forgot to add the dollar amount. He meant their Uncle Tom's because they sold their services cheaply. They didn't get enough money. See, if you get enough money, it's all good. You're all about ethnic pride and self-respect and dignity. You just didn't get enough money. That's what he forgot to add.
That's what he forgot
He's been
to add.
a sellout. He's been a sellout. What do you think? He's Martha Stewart is his homegirl? He's been a sellout. He's been a sellout all along. Call him Uncle Step and Fetch It. That's it. Okay. And guess what? And Step and Fetch It, we understood more. And even he caught smoke back in his day from the NAACP. He caught smoke and he was much more limited in the things that opportunities he had. He was much more limited, not like Snoop. We understood a Step and Fetch It and didn't appreciate it 70, 80 years ago. And here's Snoop now with all the opportunity and deep pockets in the world, and he's doing that. Step and Fetch It Jr., Uncle Step and Fetch It. I'm finished. Nothing else I want to say about him.
All right. All right, Ma. Remember, when you on the microphone, we want to hear you because I know you got a lot of stuff going on over there. Okay, moving on.
Are you saying you didn't hear me? Because I say it again. Okay. Snoop, aka Uncle Step and Fetch It. Uncle Tom, how about Uncle Step and Fetch It?
All right. All right, Ma. Let's move on to Drake. Now, Drake, people didn't know what was going on with Drake because the other day he withdrew his legal action accusing UMG, the Universal Music Group, and Spotify of using bots to artificially boost Kendrick Lamar's diss track. So he did that, but then he followed it up the next day, filing a defamation lawsuit against UMG, claiming the label promoted a false and malicious narrative about him for corporate gain, putting his safety at risk. And there's so many different things in there, Ma. He also mentioned about his Jewish heritage. He put that in there, trying to say that they were, because, Kendrick Lamar
He's a double minority. He's Black and Jewish.
No, because Kendrick Lamar used the word colonizer,
yeah.
So that, really upset Drake.
Oh, so that eliminates the colonizer part because of his Jewish heritage.
He mentioned that. Obviously, he said
Jews have also been colonizers. That's where we're going with this.
Right. He also said that he's not a pedophile. Here's the thing.
He needs to stop.
Right. A lot of people are just worried because normally there's been rap battles for, at this point, decades, and everything was hyperbolized and there was a lot of trash talk. And, bringing like legal action into this is kind of like a breach of the code. And that's
we made that point before. Yes.
Well, he went a step further is what I meant to say.
Yeah. Okay. Same point. Listen, same song, different lyrics. Okay. Same song, different melody. Okay. Whatever. Variation on the same thing. He's doing the same thing and he needs to stop. He needs to stop.
Yeah.
How this kind of beef, if you want to call it a beef, is carried on traditionally is through the music. Period. And that's what we look forward to. And that's what we buy and that's what we listen to. Not through a bunch of lawyers. He's bringing in something else that makes it seem, where people are doubting his authenticity as a real artist. Right. Now looking at him, it seems that the things they're saying about you seem to be true. You ain't a real one. You ain't Tommy Hilfiger. You ain't Tommy. No, never mind. I will say, okay. But you know where I'm going with it. You know where I'm going with the whole little rhyme thing.
Yeah, Drake is not coming across.
All Tommy Hilfiger, then you all Tommy Real. Okay.
Got it. Drake is not coming across well in this at all. It's making him look bad, making people lose respect for him as an artist.
Absolutely. And I don't know why he's not reading that. That's a big room to read. And the print is blaring. Easy to read, Drake. What's your problem?
Well, speaking of someone who was like Drake, but not really like Drake in any type of way that we could visibly see. That is Blake Lively, and I'm not going to go too much into her stuff, but it's still all these things that is coming out now because Justin Baldini, is fighting back, and he has the receipts. There's pictures.
And yeah, he has people supporting him. I've
Yeah,
seen different little things. I mean, not that I'm concerned about Blake Lively, but things have just popped up, in the media where people are saying that Blake Lively was doing a lot of lying. And they said they laid their eyes on Blake Lively, doing the things that she accused what's his name, Bodini of doing.
yeah, Justin. You can say
So,
Justin if you want.
yes, yes. So I don't know too much about her, but she's coming across, she's another one who's coming across badly. How do you think that you're going to benefit from this? How do you think this type of activity is in your best interest? You got to pick your fights. People say all kinds of things. You got to pick your fights.
It made it worse. Like she doesn't realize
Absolutely. Absolutely.
what I was wanted to say, Mom, but there was just like a couple things I wanted to mention. There was a couple of pictures floating online, and this is from the report in the lawsuit where it shows Justin and his family and Justin and his friends in the basement of the venue where they had the red carpet premiere, where they was forced to go there because Blake Lively didn't want to be on the same red carpet with him.
Good, good. And she thinks that these things are making her look good. Listen, nobody cares about Blake Lively's lying ass, privileged ass, entitled ass, whining ass, lying ass stories. Nobody cares about them. And she's doing herself a great disservice. And if she has any friends, they need to pull her coat and let her know this is not a good look for you. You ain't gonna win this one. You will not win this one. No way.
And apparently Ryan Reynolds cursed out Justin because supposedly there was this whole incident about the weight thing, and Justin was working out with his personal trainer and wanted to know, I guess, how much Blake weighed because he had to pick her up for a scene, and he's had severe back issues throughout the years, and he just wanted to make sure.
And that's a legitimate concern.
Yes.
That's a legitimate concern because even when I had my humerus fracture, when you go in for the what do you call this, rehabilitation exercises and so forth, they give a weight amount that they want you to be able to pick up and not exceed, and also not exceed. That's with anything, any broken or injured part of your body. So that's legitimate. That's not him harassing her. That's a legitimate health concern.
Right. And Ryan Reynolds apparently cursed Justin out. You know
what? Ryan Reynolds can get it too. And I didn't watch that last movie I saw with my man Hugh Jackman. I didn't watch it because of Ryan Reynolds. I watched it because of Hugh Jackman. What was that thing? What was that? The Death? Yeah, Deadpool. Right. I watched it because of Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. That's right. And Leslie Uggams. It was so cute. That's it. I did not, Ryan Reynolds, I didn't care if he was in there or not.
Even though it was his picture.
I don't give a damn whose picture it was. I was not watching for him. I was watching for Hugh Jackman to take his top off and Leslie Uggams to do her thing. And those are the two highlights of the movie, as far as I'm concerned.
It's just a lot by it. Did the last two things
ridiculous.
The last two things I thought was funny. One, she was complaining. She said that she didn't, want any more added, like, kissing scenes or whatever, except that was in the script. And apparently she's the one, they have the receipts, they have the video of her initiating kissing when it wasn't written into the scene.
Hey, we giving her way. Look, we already know she's lying.
Wait.
Okay. We're giving her way too much credit. Way too much time. Go ahead.
Also, she had Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds there when she was trying to convince Justin that she wanted to rewrite a scene, and she called herself Khaleesi, and they were her dragons and all this other stuff. And just
Guess what, Blake Lively, you are not Khaleesi, okay? And Ryan Reynolds is not, what's his name? Moon Doggy. What was his name? Hey, You know
Jason
what?
Momoa, I know his character.
What was his name? I don't know. But he was all that. Okay. If he never makes another movie in the world, he was all that. In Game of Thrones, he was all that. And you two are neither one of those. Okay. Whatever you think you are, you will never get that sexy. You will never get that hot. You will never get that type of allegiance because you're just whining ass spoiled brats and nobody cares about what you're talking about. Leave people alone.
And she didn't need to bring Taylor
And
Swift
your
into
bullies.
it.
And your bullies. And don't try to drag Taylor into this. I don't know nothing about Taylor, but I know I've not seen her treat people that way. So you just go ahead. Don't try to drag her into your BS, okay?
Okay. All right. So let's move on. But I don't want to spend too much time on this because this we have to spend some more time on this another day. But Wendy Williams, has been doing several interviews by she did one obviously on the
Good for
Breakfast
Wendy.
Club
And with her wonderful, wonderful.
and with Don Lemon. I couldn't hear you, Maya. You went out a little bit.
Okay.
At
Mm-hmm.
the Don Lemon show. And Don Lemon offered his assessment, following the interview, and he
Yeah.
acknowledged that
It's a
when
phone interview, right? Not a live interview. It's a phone interview.
right,
Okay.
he
Just want
acknowledged
to make we're talking about the same thing. Okay.
he wanted to acknowledge that Wendy Williams doesn't sound like her old self. He did not believe, though, that she appeared incapacitated or suffering from dementia. He described her as lucid and able to recall details from their past, though he recognized he is not a medical professional. He
Yeah.
suggested that she may still be capable of managing her finances with proper guidance and questioned why she wasn't surrounded by family. And he expressed concern over her isolation under the guardianship.
I loved it. I loved it. I'm in total agreement with Dawn Lemon. And you know what? Well, I don't want to get too personal, but I'll just say that, you know, your family may take some of your money and you may give them some. You may not even care. But your family usually just won't steal it all. Okay? And your family is bound to care about you a wee bit more than strangers in the street. Okay? And if in fact she needs help, and to whatever extent she needs help, I would think that her family would be the people who would be most caring, most capable, and more concerned about making sure she got that help. Here is just a bunch of random strangers who are doing nothing but ripping her off and not giving a damn about her. Chances of those random strangers caring more about her than her family, her sister, her son, and her niece, who has been an advocate for her, chances of those people caring more about her are almost zero. And how in the hell they've been able to legally do that is beyond me. I look at that bank and I look at that fucking judge. Oh, excuse me. I look at that goddamn judge who had the who had
Sure,
the
it's
nerve.
fine.
Yes. Okay, good. And I would look at that damn judge who had the damn nerve to sign off on that. And how, you know what? Look, no, I'm not going with that. And we're talking about Wendy, but we need to look at the system. What system allows this to happen to go unchecked? Referring to her son spending $100,000. So what? That's her only child. So what? So he bought an expensive car or had to do some parties or whatever he did. So you budget. You say, okay, son, slow it up a minute. You don't have to be spending all that all the time. Take it a little easy or whatever. But as a parent of only one child, if anybody is taking my money and blowing it, I'd rather let it be my child. Assuming somebody's going to enjoy it, I'd rather let it be my child than a bunch of rank ass strangers.
And
And I'm and 100, not even talking about the amount. To me, how dare they? How much are they stealing? You are right. We didn't even get to the amount yet. How much are they stealing?
right.
That is not, and to have her isolated from her family like that. Oh, absolutely not. Something's wrong with that. Somebody, they haven't gotten the right lawyers and judges to get in on that. I don't give a damn what judge it is. That judge is unscrupulous, if not straight out venal. Okay, if not straight out getting money. That judge is unscrupulous and unprincipled. Something's wrong with that picture. Oh, hell no.
I just wanted to add that when I was referring to about the money, I was saying $100,000, whatever. What does that mean? What is $100,000 to a multimillionaire? What does that, and it doesn't matter. It's her money and her child.
Right.
that
And who are you to come in and make the decision that her child shouldn't have her money? So what is not budgeted according to what you think it should be? Who the hell are you to even make that decision? Something's wrong. Like I said, something's wrong with the system.
Mhm.
That somebody had the authority, that the bank froze her money and something like that. Damn, the IRS rarely even does that. You know, only under very extreme circumstances will the IRS even do that.
Do you think she signed something and she
I,
wasn't aware of
I
it?
don't know. I don't know, but something is wrong. If in fact she signed something and you saying something is wrong with her, how the hell is that valid? Come on. There's layers to this thing.
Right.
We need to get some good attorneys in there to get on that case. Something's wrong with that. Something's wrong with that system.
Okay, let's move on to Diddy. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because this is not really anything very positive. So
It's still unfolding.
the 90-minute documentary Diddy, The Making of a Bad Boy, it pretty much explores the rise and fall of Diddy, who is now obviously facing serious criminal charges. He is currently incarcerated and awaiting trial on charges including prostitution, sex trafficking, and racketeering. Now, we get to see a lot of things in this documentary, and I feel like there's just kind of a lot missing from it. To me, it gave me overly sensationalized and going with a lot of conspiracy theories as opposed to what really happened. We didn't get a whole lot of insight. I feel like there's going to be other documentaries that give us more meat, talking about his childhood and that he was allegedly bullied, but yet he grew up in a very nice neighborhood and had more of a rich kid type lifestyle. We kind of already knew that about Diddy. Now they say that there was some sex parties that the mother used to throw. I'd never heard about that. I don't think it should be an excuse for the behavior that we've seen exhibited towards Cassie and all of the other things that's alleged that he committed. uh we see another allegation from someone whose identity was we couldn't see her, but apparently she's alleging that Diddy raped her. There's just a lot that went into this documentary that I feel is just some stuff that's missing, right? Or things that I kind of already knew, except for the alleged wild parties at the mother's house when he was a child. What were your thoughts on the
Um, you know, you know, I agree with things that you said. Everything that you said, I found to be true. Regarding the information that we received, some insightful, some not. People from different eras, of his life, from childhood to adulthood. People who've known him more recently, people who've known him in different capacities, and they all have different views of him. People have different world views of him. I thought it was very touching about the friend of his, Timmy, I think his name was, the one that's off the grid.
Mhm.
I thought that was very interesting because he gave us an up close personal view of Puffy as a little kid, and that could have gone all kinds of ways. I think I gave a lot of credence to what he said, whether it's true or not. I mean, how the hell do I know? But I did give that a lot of weight in terms of the truthfulness of it. And I didn't feel he had much to gain. I feel he was just sort of speaking from the heart, and I feel he has been wounded and devastated by the things that have happened in his life, which is why he's now off the grid. And that is generally true of people who live off the grid. That's a kind of across the board thing, that they have no longer want to be involved in the regular quote unquote day to day thing, and they want to be more isolated. And I got that. I totally got that. My perception of this is that we'll hear and see a whole lot more. But bottom line is that somehow, some way, Puffy became so wealthy and so powerful that it absolutely just destroyed him because the power went unchecked, unaccounted for, unanswered for, and it just went on and on and on. And when that happens, a lot of times those individuals self-destruct. He became so powerful in the music industry. He was in everything here, there, here, there. And nobody, he was not held accountable for a lot of things that we know that happened. I don't know to what extent he was culpable, but he seemed to remain unscathed and even get more powerful all along the way. And there's a quote about absolute power being destructive. And I think that's kind of what happened to him. And I think we'll see it happen to some other people who are out there doing all kind of wrong things that we know about it. Not people who have done some things wrong, because everybody has done some things wrong. But when it reaches a certain level, that it is just destructive all the way across the board, then these things happen. There could have been interventions along the way. Apparently, there were no interventions or very little interventions along the way. I don't want to go into specific things because I don't know what happened, but it seemed that when Puffy walked in the room, he could do what he wanted to do, and that's what he did. And do what he wanted to do to whoever he wanted to do without fear of consequences.
Right.
And guess what? We all answer to something in the universe we answer to.
Well, you know what? I agree with everything that you said.
That's the way it's looking. I don't know, but that's the way it's looking.
I agree with everything you said for the most part. I really honestly don't know how much weight I would put into his friends because I mean I guess the things that
My friends, only the one that knew him and lived in the house with him about the mom giving parties and what they saw. I believe him because he lived there. I believe him. I don't think he made it up. I believe him about that.
No.
Nobody else gave testimony about that. Nobody else mentioned that. I believe him because I believe he was there.
Okay. All I'm saying is that I look at everybody, was suspiciously because this man says that he's off the grid. How did they manage to find you? That's a whole nother story.
Off the grid doesn't mean that you totally fallen into a hole. Off the grid means you're difficult to find. Off the grid means that you aren't part of mainstream and you're not participating. Off the grid doesn't mean that nobody could ever find you. And maybe they didn't find him. Maybe he reached out to them because that was his childhood friend, and maybe he wanted to give some insights. Off the grid does not mean that you are off the grid. We all going off the grid at some point. That's straight up off the grid. No, I believe, I've known people who have lived remotely, and so have you. But you could get to them, but it was difficult.
I don't know anybody that was off the grid, so.
Oh, well, I know people who have lived very remotely. Let me put it that way.
Okay. Either way,
you still do. Okay. We'll talk about that later.
Either way, like I said, I thought the documentary was missing a lot. We'll see what happens. We know
I thought it was fair. I didn't think it was the worst. I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was somewhere in the middle. I thought it was very mediocre. That's what I thought about the movie.
I don't even want to rate it as top shelf or premium.
And you know what? My thinking is that you got 1,088 people looking to get this, looking to get that. You got the people who are telling the truth, the people who are lying, and then the people who are doing a little bit of both. So you have a whole mixture of people, and I think all these people think they're going to get paid. And some of them are not going to get paid. A lot of them are not going to get paid. I think Cassie is a different story. She's in a class by herself. Most of these people are spinning their wheels, hoping to get paid. And a lot of them are just going to be tied up in litigation for years and they're not going to see a dime. And that's what I think is going to happen. Well, I think people who are going to get wealthy overall, not saying nobody will get anything, but overall, I think overall, I think the person who's going to get the most money out of this deal is Cassie, because Cassie has put in the time and has the receipts, and the rest of these people just going to be fighting for years and nothing, because Puffy has the money to tie them up in litigation for years, and I think that's what's going to happen. So they can say whatever.
I
But Puffy is fighting for his life, and if he's going down, ain't nobody else coming up. Not off his money. He'll use it all to save himself, and as he should. That's what I think.
whatever the case, I hope that justice, it's served. I hope that, for all the things that he did do, I think that, he's held accountable for those.
Absolutely.
And so if that
Absolutely.
means
Well,
that
that's
he
the
needs
goal.
to pay all the
Absolutely.
people who he did things to, then he should do that. I just
That is the
that
goal. Absolutely. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, moving on, let's get into the actual movies and TV shows. So, wanted to start off with The Brutalist, which many people think will be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. It's already racked up awards at the Golden Globes and is nominated for multiple SAG awards. And the Brutalist is really an epic that tackles themes of immigrant assimilation, post-war trauma, capitalism, and different power dynamics. It's set in the aftermath of World War II, and it follows Adrian Brody's character, Laszlo, and he is a Jewish architect who arrives in America with, pretty much dreams of rebuilding his life. And we see all the different challenges that he faces. We have a very strong performance from Guy Pearce, who is, I don't even want to go into who he is because he plays such an integral role in this film, but he's great to watch. Other strong performances from Felicity Jones as Laszlo's wife. And then we have the niece. She's pretty good in there as well. More subdued performance, but this was definitely a well done film, a very long film. But it was at times difficult, to see. And it was a lot. What are your thoughts on The Brutalist?
I don't want to talk too much and give away anything, because I would just want to reference that the Brutalist, Conclave, Emilia Perez, those three, just off the top of my head, have one thing in common that I noticed that make them A. Well, Emilia Perez might go A+,
Well,
but
we're doing the top shelf.
okay,
Top shelf
yeah, which is top shelf, yeah, top shelf. They're all top shelf, but they all three have one thing in common, which makes them maybe take Amelia Perez out of it in a way, semi. I don't know how to really gauge it with Amelia Perez, but there's one theme that's common to all three of these movies that makes them as sensational as they are, above and beyond the acting. And I won't say what that is. And guess what? We didn't get to Sing Sing yet, but Sing Sing doesn't have that thing in it, which to me makes Sing Sing better than all of them.
We can we just
okay, because it was top
talking
because it's top shelf without that element. Okay, go ahead. I don't want to say too much else, but I really want to make a point, but I'm kind of restricted from making that point. But there is a point where those three movies I mentioned have this thing in common, which makes them more sensational.
Okay, so I'm just gonna. Well, what do you give The Brutalist, Mo?
I give it top shelf. I give it top shelf 8.5.
Okay. Uh, I'm gonna go with the top shelf for Brutalist. It was just so long. And I kind of was with you between an 8 and an 8.5. Very strong performances from Adrian Brody, like I said, and definitely Guy Pearce
Yeah.
and Felicity Jones. I thought did a good job too. As
Yes.
supporting.
Yeah.
So really good. Just long, guys. Just be prepared. Okay, moving on to A Complete Unknown, which stars Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan, and this centered on like the early years of his like the rise to fame in the early 1960s. He when the picture comes on, he's 19 years old. He arrives in New York with really nothing but his guitar and raw talent, and then we see him transition into the legend that he is. Couple of other strong performances in here. We have Monica Barrero, who plays Joan Baez, a real life folk singer. We have Ed Norton. I forgot who he was playing, but he also was playing a real life character.
Yeah, Pete Seeger.
Pete Seeger. Okay, and
Also,
and
yeah.
Elle Fanning plays the girlfriend in the movie. So all really good performances. For me, this wasn't one of my favorite biographical dramas. I thought that Timothy Chalamet did a good job as Bob Dylan. I didn't get, I guess, the love story and the fire that I wanted to get from this. And I don't know if maybe just because I don't know a whole lot about Bob Dylan except for the super really popular songs and that type of thing, but I just kind of wanted to know more about the person and follow his career more. I just saw him as like a 19-year-old to maybe 24, 25-year-old, just like at the beginning of his career. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on A Complete Unknown?
I'm going to give it a ranking first, and my ranking is high premium 7.5. Um, I thought it was, like you said, I thought it was okay, but for the most part, he just seemed like a person who struggled, quote unquote, for about 5 minutes. I mean, what you expect when you start out with nothing and you go into a strange city? But it looked like 5 minutes after he got there, he was playing in the clubs and writing music and had a home. And I mean, this so-called struggle, wasn't much of a real struggle. And he was he was a Bob Dylan, grumbling and mumbling all the way through, and writing his protest music mixed in with regular folksy type stuff, but basically making some sort of stance, making and taking a stance about life, quality of life, and inequities of life. And he was that person. I mean, his voice was always mumbling and grumbling through. I mean, that's just how he is. And we accept that and embrace that as Bob Dylan. Not just accept it, we appreciate it as Bob Dylan. And that's who he was. I didn't see anything much that was really that in depth or that insightful. I really didn't see anything that sort of brought him to where he was. I didn't see it. Didn't show much of an evolution. It just showed him he kind of popped up as Bob Dylan, the same Bob Dylan at 19 as I guess he is now at 80 something. And that was it. We didn't see an evolution, and that sort of detracts from the picture because we like to see where they started and what happened to make them to what they were. And he was introduced to us as really who he was.
Yeah, and I think exactly. You really expressed my point very eloquently because I had an issue because from my understanding, he was a guy who stood up for human rights, and you saw something brief where like Ozzie Davis is introducing him at I don't know, some march. And I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see more of the humanitarian part because they would sprinkle it, but I'm not connecting with it because then they show him, a few minutes later, and he seems like a spoiled superstar, just bulking
Yeah,
like, oh, I don't have to do this because I'm an artist. I get it, you're an artist. We understand that. But
right.
why are you taking that stance? Like they didn't show it enough to me. So
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought Timothy Chalamet, I thought as far as the material that he was given, I thought he did a very good job. And I think that, he's deserving of an Oscar nomination. As far as the film for Best Picture, I don't think it should be a Best Picture nomination, which it more than likely will be at the Oscars. So I am going to give it a premium. I'm probably between a 6 and a 6.5.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
apparently liked it a little more than you did. Also, there wasn't any real sensitivity toward his romantic entrance. It was just that whatever was kind of convenient for him at the time, you know.
Right. Right. And he was young, so we get it.
Yeah, well, you know, and so be it. And that's what he was. It didn't show him head over heels in love with anybody, that's for sure.
No. And at the end, well, I don't want to go into, but it's not really saying too much, but it says such and such had a tumultuous relationship. You did well, what do you mean tumultuous? Because I never really saw much from him at all.
Yeah, really. He didn't pump a lot of interest and energy into anything other than his music.
Right.
And that's what they showed us. That's what we saw. So, okay. All
Okay.
right. But, you know, shout out to Timothy Chalamet. You know, good for him. You
Good,
know,
good. Very good performance.
oh, yeah.
Okay. And finally, the final movie of the week is Sing Sing, which my obviously gave rave reviews to. And it stars my man Coleman Domingo. And we have a newcomer, Mr. Clarence Divine I. Macklin. Now, this is a story based on the real life program in Sing Sing. It's a rehabilitation through the arts. It's RTA in Sing Sing Maximum Security Prison. For the guys who don't know that, it's in New York, and
It's
it
an Osning, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
explores the transformative power of theater as a means of like healing trauma, and building brotherhood among incarcerated men, and that is at the core of this film.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm just gonna say mine briefly because I know you have a lot to say with this.
I don't have a lot to say. I have a little to say, but what I have to say is good.
Okay, me too. I wanted to shout out John Adrian Velasquez, who was also in this film, who was wrongfully accused of murder and served almost 24 years in jail.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
he
Oh my
was
God.
released
Just
I think like around 2020.
oh my God.
Wanted to shout him out because he does an excellent job in here, and I just feel so bad for whatever he had to endure for being in prison, like wrongfully
Yeah.
accused, wrongfully
Yeah.
in prison. Excellent film, just had me very emotional.
Right.
Coleman Domingo is amazing. All the guys, did a good job. Clarence Divine, I hope that he can get a supporting nomination. Coleman is definitely going to get his lead actor, and I hope that this gets the Best Picture Oscar nomination because it's not a shoe-in. It's like kind of on the outskirts because it's a smaller film. What are your thoughts on this, Ma? Sing Sing.
Listen, for me, superlative, superlative, superlative. Not only because Coleman Domingo, not because we share a common, racial a culture, or ethnicity. No, I'm mentioning all these things not because it's about a subculture prison system, not because of it's about a marginalized groups, but because it gave all of the cast they gave, from the old man director to Coleman Domingo to Divine I. What was Coleman Domingo? Divine G.
Divine.
I mean, it just gave and gave and gave. All of the characters gave. They brought something of themselves, and it made you connect. You understood. You understood something. Mike broke your heart. It gave, it gave, it gave, it gave. Yeah, Mike.
I
You
know
remember?
Ma. I know Ma. We know Mike.
I mean, it gave, it gave, it gave. And for that reason, when a movie makes me feel emotionally, so much emotionally, and it was credible, it was believable, it was real. 10, 10,
So
10, 10,
top show.
10, 10, top shelf. And I don't really give tens too often or if ever. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, because it gave. Just them, just the cast. And I mean, without all these beautiful scenery and the this and the that, because they were so beautiful and how they related, how they gave, how they made you feel, how they made you understand, how they made you appreciate. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
I'm with you. The top shelf 10 for me. And I just everyone should go see this film. And I want to say this, and I'm a little bit worried because I think, and I don't know for sure, and not that the film doesn't deserve it because we haven't seen it yet. There's all this talk about Nickel Boys, and that Nickel Boys may get a Best Picture nomination, may throw it in as number 10.
Right.
I will
Well, I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to juxtapose Nickel Boys against this one because I haven't seen Nickel Boys. I'm just telling you what this one was.
well here
Telling you
no,
what it was for me. Sing Sing for me was everything.
no. Well, here's the thing with Nickel Boys. Just the terrible conditions of young boys being in prison at reform schools, and just all we know that is a lot of tragedy in that. I just don't I'm tired of seeing that. And I'm
Right.
tired of, like, the Oscar voters always go for something like that.
Right.
Sing Sing is different. Sing
Right.
Sing is
For
different. That's
that
what I'm
reason,
gonna
they
say.
might not make it because people maybe don't want to see such horror. People want to see something maybe more optimistic. Well, it happens sometimes.
Well, let's see who the voters are.
I'm not going to go into that, but remember it happened with Idris Elba when he made what was that Beast of No Nations or something? What was the name of that?
Yes,
You know,
Beast of the Nation. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of people didn't want to see it because the kids were so brutalized, and
Well,
people, oh my God, so it can cut both ways, and we've seen it.
we'll see. They're doing
No,
well. We'll see. They're doing the Oscar nominations next week, so we'll see what
all right,
happens. Well,
okay.
this week.
Well, you know what? But look, whatever they do, I don't care what they do. I'm telling you what I think, and good luck to all parties involved.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, Coleman Domingo will get his Oscar nomination because he's been across the board. But I want the film to be recognized because I just think it's such a
Oh,
special
yes.
film.
The film, the actors, oh, they were just everything. They were just really given. Like I said, they were given all that you can look for in terms of entertainment, in terms of things that were emotionally touching your heart and really given to your senses of beauty, talent, and authenticity. It gave on a high, high, high level.
Okay, so let's get into a couple of TV shows before we go. I think this is a longer episode. We had the premiere of Severance season 2 after being going for almost 3 years.
You can take the lead on that one. I saw the one episode of season 2.
Well, there's only been one episode.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know. I just saw the brand new episode for season 2, and I'm glad to see that the lead character was reunited with his team. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say. No, I was very happy because they're getting there. I think they're going to. Well, I don't know if I should even say what I
Well,
think because it's in the future. So
well, I mean, pretty much it seems like everyone's kind of been out of touch for a while. And
right.
the first like moments of the episode, we're kind of reminded where things kind of left off. And
Milkshake is losing his mind because he's supposed to be in charge, but for some reason, it's not popping up that way in the computer.
Milchek, yeah, yeah. And so we know,
Milkshake. That's milkshake. That milkshake.
yes, yes, yes.
What they call it, milkshake?
Yes, we know that there's three new refiners at the beginning of the show, and we don't know what happened. And of course, Mark is frustrated with his new team and doesn't really want to be there, and he's trying to do things to sabotage the team so that he can be reunited with his old team because he was just like worried, like, where is everyone?
Right.
Eventually, after he kind of throws a fit and he turned everything out, he's reunited with everyone.
And
And
I was happy about that. I was really happy about that.
yeah,
Why
yeah,
do they have this kid in there calling herself the supervisor? They have not addressed that.
they have not addressed it. And when they ask her, why are you a kid? She says, because of when I was born.
Right. Just great.
So, right. One of the things that I did notice, though, Mark was very honest with his group about his coworkers about what happened on the outside. And Helly, she was not honest about what happened on the outside because she is a huge part of why everyone is there. and
And
maybe
she's,
she
but she was
embarrassed.
the one. She was talking. She was the one that gave the story about the outside gardener, talking
Yeah,
about the nighttime gardener. And
right,
well, somebody questioned her. Somebody said, "The nighttime gardener. What is going on with that?"
right,
Because what the hell are you gardening at night? Is that a new scientific theory?
right,
You know, because gardeners usually come when they can see.
right. Something
Yeah.
about that,
Well, they knew she was kind of lying somewhere in there. You know.
right, right. And then Dylan, he kind of gets swooped into a room where Milchick tells him that, oh, there's like a family visitation suite. There's like a blueprint for that people who have families, they can visit with their, visit their family. And
Yeah.
don't tell your coworkers because they don't have family.
Turn against you. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right. So that
I
was
don't I don't think he's going for it though. I think he knows that it's something that's going to end up in his getting in worse problems. Yeah, so I don't think he's
right.
going for it.
And then Irving, like I says, Irving is John Turturro. His character, he doesn't even want to be there anymore. He's thinking of leaving, but they talk to him, and all of a sudden he's back.
Well,
And
Irving, what's his name? Irving talked him into staying. And
yeah,
what I think that's good because he not only wanted to leave, he wanted to end life because he thought he wasn't going to be with his partner anymore.
yeah,
Remember?
yes.
Yeah. He wanted to really just end it. He didn't care
Well,
how.
it's not his partner because on the outside, this partner
Well,
married
well,
or
well, yeah, but whatever.
somebody.
Wasn't going to be with him or whatever. Yeah.
Right, right, right. I hope I'm getting the names right, but it's John Turturro who we were.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So anyway, to wrap things up at the end, which I really don't know what's going on, and Mark is putting some numbers together. He's working on some files and everything, and the camera zooms in, and we see like vital signs in real time, and it's of his dead wife, Gemma, and that's like we remember, and she's like the psychiatrist there. And so, what are they doing, or is he?
You don't know.
I
I
don't
don't.
know. Are
That,
they cloning the wife or it's very weird, right?
well, you know what? Next episode. That's all.
We'll see. We'll see. It was an interesting start. Definitely an interesting start. So
They've introduced some new characters, and what did they do with that other fake crew that they had for him? You know, they got rid of them, right? Next thing you know, he threw a tantrum, like you said, and went running, running, running through the building every minute. And then next thing you know, he's back with his old crew.
all right.
So, and what did they do with those guys? Are they on another floor, or what's going on? You know,
Right.
we
And
don't
they
know that.
threaten and they threaten the, I guess, what is it, the innies, that if they, is it the innies? If they threaten the innies that if they would quit their job, that they would cease to exist, right? They would cease to exist on the outside or something to that effect. It was very, very strange.
So, you know, let's just see because the Audis have their life as well, you know. And I want to know what's going on with Milchek, aka
Yeah.
Milkshake. What's going on? How come they aren't changing? How come it's still saying what is it, Copley or Copley in the computer? What's going on with that? And you see that's getting to him because he's like, I'm in charge now, and then he keeps changing and going in and changing, but it's not changing. And what's wrong with that little child, quote unquote, girl? You know what? You know, I think she's really an adult and I think she's evil, of course. And I think she's doing something to prevent Milchek,
Mhm.
aka Milkshake, from actually legitimately being recognized as the leader, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know because I think
Because don't forget, she's in there and she's playing around with the computer too. And then they show her playing with the little doll, like she's so innocent, you know, playing a little game or whatever. And then something's going on with that.
yeah, yeah, listen, I don't know. But I agree with you. Something's very suspicious that they have this child in there.
Like,
The
and no explanation for her appearance, you
oh,
know.
the other thing I wanted to say is that remember that Milchek is not severed. He is the only one that is not severed, and that is, I think, will come into play as well because that's
Okay.
all right. And finally, the last show of the weekend. We don't have to go too far into it because we'll probably deep dive it a little bit more for the finale. But this is the penultimate episode of the season, The Agency, and we know there's just a lot of stuff going on. with the agency, and Martian, aka Michael Fassbender, is just doing a lot of has a lot of risky moves going on there. They're still trying to get Coyote rescued, from the mercenary group, and Martian is kind of running out of time. He's stolen for time. He's making up all type of stories like he has a plan and he can't tell the director of the CIA, he's making up those stories. Then he also is trying to see Samia. He's still trying to see her, and we know that she's captured over there. And I don't know. I really just don't know what's going to go on with that. So he said that he would see Osmond, right? Because Osmond wants him to do something, right? Well, go ahead, Matt. What were you?
But then Osmond, you mean Osmond who has Samia?
Yeah,
Osmond sends him a message that Samia, you just killed Samia.
right. And I
So
don't know if that's
it,
true or
I,
not.
I'm gonna presume that that's not true, but they didn't show her, so you don't know what is really going on.
Right. They didn't show her after that. Yeah. Because it's
So
over.
I don't know. I don't know. I hope that she's okay, but we don't really know.
I don't know
And
what's her. Go ahead.
and then we don't. Let's see what's going to happen with that because they don't have Coyote yet either.
No.
And then there's another guy over there who's working for the captors of Coyote,
Mm-hmm.
who is a double agent. Who
Yeah.
he's supposed to be a doctor or whatever he is, and you think he's on one side and he's on the other side.
Right.
So I don't know yet.
I
So
don't know. There's a lot of interesting going on there. And then the young CI agent, I can't remember her name, she has a lot going on over there. That whole situation with her, so she's supposed to be going to Iran, and her professor, her quote unquote professor's fake wife, I knew something was odd with that because she was asking her too many questions that a normal wife would not ask their husband's student. That was a bit strange. So I wonder what's going on with that operation. So it's a lot going on with the agency, and I'm enjoying it. It's taking me on a wild ride. Uh, I'll have more in-depth insight next week after the finale. Okay.
yeah, but Agency is a good one.
Yep,
Agency is one well worth watching. It's a good one.
for sure. So I mentioned about the Oscars. They're supposed to be letting us know the Oscar nominations on Thursday. So we will, catch up and discuss our thoughts
Okay.
on
I'm rooting for some
seeing.
of my favorites. I'll tell you that for sure.
You and me as well. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we need to go over? I think this is a really pretty in-depth episode. We don't have any new reality shows that we want to really go into. We'll talk more a little bit about Love is Blind. But we've been following the traders guys on all things Peju. So please make sure to go get your deep dive every week there. Married at First Sight, we will cover again on Thursday's episode because there's always drama. And we hopefully will see who the couples are that swapped, if it was a real swap or if it really was just,
Right. Or
one
if it was just
from
a
two
big
couples
rumor,
deciding
right?
to
And
switch.
rumor and hyperbole,
Right.
just to, get the fans titillated. Let's see. Okay.
All right, Ma, I need you to tell me three things that made you smile.
As always, the sun, the stars, and the moon.
Okay, I'm gonna go with number one, Coleman Domingo. I'm gonna go with number two.
Eat him too. Okay.
I'm gonna go with number two, family, and number three, football.
Oh yeah. Oh, you took two of my good ones. Coleman Domingo, of course, because he just is. Oh my goodness, he just did everything and family. Maybe I should start off number one. No, family's got to be number because without the sun, the stars, and the moons, I don't know if he could even get to family. So I'm gonna
Well,
get number four and Coleman Domingo number five.
okay. All right, Ma. Is there anything that you want to say before we go?
Yes, life is too short and too long to be unhappy, and to thine own self be true. And as always, no drinking or drugging and driving. The life you save may be mine.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, as always, for continuing to support the Bamgboshe Happy Hour. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, All Things Peju, home of the Bamgboshe Happy Hour. We will be back, as always, on every Thursday and some Sundays, guys. Be safe, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and check out full episodes of the Bamgboshe Happy Hour podcast, streaming on most platforms.